Hey there, all those amazing moms out there. Welcome to this gorgeous workshop that is just for you. This is a space and a place for you to get resourced, to get tools, to feel inspired, and to be a part of a community. And we are so thrilled that you are joining us today. So give yourself a congratulatory hug or a kind thought that you are showing up today. That is truly, truly what matters. I'd like to introduce our first speaker today, Michelle. Michelle is a wife and a mom of 3 kids who participated in various mom groups, ran a few, even joined a few book clubs herself, but she did envision something different as she found herself looking around and still wondering why she didn't like to do any more that involved just the kid activities. Any other mom out there ever felt that way? I know I have, right? And as she worked to discover her own passions, she realized that there is no one-size-fits-all program, but the true key to figuring out your passion and making your goals happen is finding connection in a supportive environment. Therefore, her new mission is to help other mamas find their own passions. And I lost my spot, so just hang with me here, while being more present with their families in a supportive and empowering environment. She has started spreading the message through YouTube, Instagram, and her blog. She holds an MA, moms, an MA in education, so she knows what she's talking about, and spent 8 years dedicated in the classroom before having a family of her own. Michelle, we are so thrilled that you are here today. Please take it away.
Thank you, Amanda, for that wonderful introduction. I'm so excited to be here today and just share this message with you ladies, because you know what? It's all about community moms. It's all about us coming together and doing this, not like with each other, because when we try to do this alone, it gets disheartening. And we think, oh, I can keep doing this. And then you beat yourself up for not doing it. But we're here to do that together and to support each other and give those encouraging words that we all need to hear. And so on that note, I'm going to share my screen and ask you to start by checking in where you're at. Now, when I put this chart up here, we are not here to interrogate ourselves. We're here just simply to acknowledge where we're at. We just want to mention. And so I'm going to ask you, just put in the chat, where are you on this chart right now? This chart comes from Mark Brackett from Permission to Feel. And I use this chart with my kids a lot as we try to expand that vocabulary so we have those words to use. So I'm going to admit right now that I'm a little bit uneasy. All this speaking and stuff is new to me. And a lot of times when we take on those new tasks and things as moms, like afraid and but we get pushed through those. So I want to know how you guys are all feeling today. Just take a moment. We have grateful and hopeful and pleasant. I love seeing those feelings come out. And the more that we show that gratefulness and those positive feelings, more we think. But again, when we are in those negative feelings, or how we call them negative, they are just states that will pass. And we don't need to judge ourselves for it. We just need to feel it and let it go. And the more we go towards the pleasant and the high energy ones, the more that we're able to move through the anger and the low pleasant ones quicker. It's not that we won't have them. They are not going to go away. They are feelings. We're human. We're going to experience these feelings, but it's how quickly can we go from anger to, oh, I'm going to have some curiosity and figure out what's going on rather than attack back right away. It's those reactions, those thoughts that we have when we get those feelings. How do we react to them? And that's what we're going to look towards a little bit today. So as we do that, we are creating a safe space. Okay, put that. I realized the block was there. This is a safe space for us to chat, for us to be, for us to acknowledge each other. We're not here to judge each other. We're here to listen and validate and know that we're in this together. Motherhood is one of those hard things, but when we have support and we do it together, it just makes it so much better. And we can actually then go enjoy our kids and not feel like we have to do this all by ourselves. And so I just want to take the moment to say right here and give yourselves a high five. Like, let's give each other a high five because we showed up. We took time to rediscover ourselves and rediscover that spark, because sometimes it's just so easy to forget it. We have so many activities, so many things with the kids. And what do we need to do that for? So on that note, we're going to take a moment just to smile. The more we do it, the more we feel it. Smiling actually changes your state, even if you're faking it to make it, as we say it. But the more we do it, the more it really does make those endorphins and changes the way that we feel. And sometimes we have to force that, but the more we keep doing it, the more it is. So, and play them one more time and just give yourselves a big old smile and congratulate yourselves for being here. And look how cute he is. And again, this is why we all did in the first place. Became moms. Look at these cute babies, these children that we're growing. Makes me laugh every time. So, ladies, I am Michelle. My passion is to create connection and community, because in motherhood, when we have those connections and we have those communities, we can feel our light and we can bring that back to our families. I want to support moms who have given so much of themselves to their families. Time to remember to give it back to yourselves as well. And I've always loved to travel. My husband and I, when we got married, we spent a year traveling around the world, and I just love what travel and realizing what the world's like and actually how small it really is, that we all are in this together. We all just want to be loved and feel love. And so it's all about providing that for each other. Love to learn. I forgot about that. Motherhood, like all of a sudden, like became motherhood. I forgot that I wanted to grow. I wanted to learn. And so that's how I'm back at doing this. I love to create, hence working to create workshop for moms and creating Connecting Mamas, because I want to create something that will inspire others. My biggest focus right now, as I've been on this journey of rediscovery, of figuring out, is that my goal is to be as present as I can in the moment that I'm in. And so right now I'm working to be as present as I can with you ladies right now. I don't want to think about all the other to-do lists and things I need to do. I'm here with you, wanting to connect with you and bring connection and love to you guys, ladies, actually. So this is my family right here. I have 3 kids and my husband. And as you can see, this is the moment I became a mom. That moment when 9 months of preparation and thinking, okay, well, he's coming, it's almost here. And then all of a sudden, like, you have this little bundle in your arms and you're like, my world has really changed. I don't know if any of you felt that way, but as soon as I had that life in front of me, like, he was in the NICU for a couple of days, and then all of a sudden it's like, I get to take him home. Like, what am I supposed to do? How do I do this? Like, how do I do the bottle feedings? Like, how do I, like, just all those questions and all those, and how overwhelming and isolating it can be. And 3 weeks after he was born, I had an appendicitis. I thought it was just my uterus or something closing back up, but in that I had appendicitis, and then they found a hernia at the same time. So within his first 6 months of life, I've had 2 surgeries. And in each of those, the biggest kicker was that I wasn't able to pick him up anymore. Like, so nursing him and things, I had to get help. I know, especially as a first-time mom, asking for help is one of the hardest things. Like, I should be able to do this by myself. But that's why we're here. We're here because we shouldn't have to do it by ourselves. And we do want to help each other. And we don't have to think, oh, they're too busy to help me. Think about when someone asks you for help. Are you willing to help them? Well, the same is probably true if you ask for help. And so we're here to practice that, because it's a skill. It's hard. It's hard to say that I need this, and can you? And some people might say no, but that's okay. It's the effort. It's trying there and making and building those bridges. It's building that community. So on that note, what feelings do these invoke in you? You can either unmute and share, or you can just throw it in the chat too. As a mom, when have you felt like this? What do you feel when you see these faces? I know you've all felt this way at one time or another, or many times, as I know I have. Exhaustion, overwhelm. We just have those feelings like we can't do it anymore. And that's probably the hardest time, when it is hard to reach out to someone. As Amanda said, when there's too much to do and not enough time to do it. Yes, we have these to-do lists that go endless, right? Right now, I'm sure you're thinking, oh, I could be doing this right now. I could be doing this right now. I could be doing this right now, right? So, but we're here to bring that focus, to bring that slow down a little bit, because when we do slow down and we do focus, that's where we find our light. That's where we find our message. That's where we find what we want to do. And so these results that I have from a mom's friendship survey that I conducted, the biggest thing that struck me is when I read this line: I'm probably the most disconnected to moms and other human beings than I've ever been before. I don't know if any of you feel this way, but I know I have too as well. And it's that disconnection that we feel, and that we want to connect with others, because it's a human right, a human feeling that to belong, to be with others. How do you find the right connection, the right people? That's what we're looking at. Now, some of these moms want that community that has no judgment, support, and positivity. Because again, a lot of times I know in my past experience in mom groups and stuff, there's been like, oh, well, I'm better at this. I'm the Pinterest mom. I can do this. And you make those comparisons on Facebook and you're like, I can't do it that way. But you know what? You shouldn't do that way, because you're the perfect mom for your kids. You're doing the perfect things for them in that way, and building that relationship with them. And that Pinterest cake might not even be what your kid wanted. And so it's finding out and making those connections with your kids that you're focusing on, not what everyone else is doing. And that's what we're going to work towards, is figuring out how to make those connections. Not afraid to call me out when I'm not living up to my potential. Now that's a hard one, because we always want to hide that, right? I know that this person might be able to do this, but we don't want to call people out on it. We want accountability. We really want people who are there to say, who witness you committing to yourself. You, for instance, say you were in exercise for 30 days, and they're going to call you out on day 17 because you didn't want to get out of bed. And they're just supporting you, but because you made that declaration to them. So we want that accountability, that support, where you'll make those declarations to other people and help keep you accountable. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for the judgment, but just for the encouragement and accountability to keep what you promised yourself done. Sometimes we need those external accountability measures. Acknowledging the same struggles and difficulties, because we want to hide that we have those struggles and difficulties, but we all have them. And when we acknowledge it together and we see other people saying things, also like, oh, okay, I can do it too. Because we can do it together. We can share it and get it out and then move forward. Ongoing support, encouragement, and active listening through a lens of compassion, not fix it. That's one of the things I really like to focus on, is that we listen to each other and we're not worried about what we're going to respond to the other person. And even in for the women's circles I run, we don't even have a response. We beam them when they're done, and they say, I'm done. I'm complete. I've completed what I wanted to share. And then we just send energy to them. We don't need, but we've witnessed them. And that's what it's about. It's about witnessing each other and sharing that and speaking your truth out loud to other people. And it doesn't necessarily be, oh, well, I know what you should do. It's not about that. It's about sharing and being vulnerable together. Women tend to put themselves low on the priority list. I know I do. So it's hard to connect with moms when everyone else comes first. And so when you're choosing to come to Workshop for Moms, or choosing to come to Connecting Moms, or choosing to do that nature play, or choosing to work with your kids and learning, oh, I love Amanda, how she just puts all the words together and have that connection with their kids. When you're choosing what you need at that moment, because whatever works for you and you need, but you're making that choice knowing for you that this is what you're called to do at this moment to help with your kids, with your family, with your energy. And that's what we need to do, is pick, what are we called to do? But listen to yourself. Stop listening to the Facebook, listening to those outside voices. We need to go internally, but it's hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. Brene Brown, my favorite, she tells us, I can be myself when I know that I'm with people who recognize the intricable, unimmutable spiritual connection that is shared humanity, because belonging is not in jeopardy. We are sharing that humanity together. We are sharing our experiences, and we want to think that we're alone or isolated by ourselves, but we're not. And when we realize that we're not, that we are connected, and we find those true connections, then we can share our light and really make those true connections. So how do we do that? That's what we're going to start looking at. That's how do we connect? And so with my framework, I've come in with, you need to check in not only with yourself, but with others, but it starts with yourself. So it starts with being curious. It starts with being honest with yourself. Not having expectations, but identifying your expectations. Because as much as I want to get rid of my expectations, they're still there. I can either let my subconscious tell me what they are and be angry because something happened that I didn't acknowledge, or I can start to think about, what are my expectations for the day? What are my expectations, and how do I work with those? I don't necessarily, they're not always going to come true, but if I acknowledge them, then at least I know where they're coming from. And then making those connections. And then we work on those listening skills of how we're not trying to fix it. We're trying to witness and truly listen to our fellow moms and listen to each other. And then that whole being intentional with how you decide to start your day, how you decide to start your conversation with your child. You are choosing that. And then being in the now, that we actually have to make time for ourselves to do this. We can't just say, oh yeah, I'm going to do self-care. I'm going to take care of myself and walk away. You say, I'm going to do 5 minutes in the morning journal. That's what speaks to me today. That's what speaks to me at this month, this season of my life. I'm going to do journaling for 5 minutes a day to take care of myself. I'm going to work on how I approach my child when they come home. Instead of saying, how was your day? I'm going to try some funny questions or something, but it's that intentionality. Deciding what is it, does it feel like it's working right now? And coming with some kind of looking at curiosity to how can I do that differently? It's not always about, sorry, need a sip of water. It's not always about this is the right answer. It's about exploring it, trying different possibilities, but making a decision to try something. Doesn't work, go a different direction. But we get stuck, we get stopped in that paralyzed feeling that I can't do this, that I don't have a solution. Well, if you pick one direction, that doesn't work, well, then you simply turn and go the next direction. But it's moving the momentum forward. And until we make an action and see if it works, we're not going to know. We can think about and tell ourselves that story in our head, but we need to make those decisions to move forward. So this is your activity for the moment. To answer these 2 questions, you can choose to do it out loud, you can choose to do it in your notebook, you can choose to do it in the chat. But we need to look at, what is one thing that I enjoyed today? And what is one thing that I plan to enjoy tomorrow? Because we forget about ourselves. As you're thinking, I will share that I was working on a project and I finished it early. So right before this talk, I decided I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to get out and get some fresh air before I go into this, because I made a little bit of extra time. What is one thing I plan to enjoy tomorrow is, I've been working really hard with my son in working towards our black belts. And I actually really do enjoy going to class with him because it's something that we get to do together. And I'm feel a little structured that pressured that the testing's coming up, but it's something that is driving me to keep doing it. So we have visiting family, yes. One thing snuggles with my son and the dog. Yes, snuggles are the best, aren't they? And it's really spending that moment going, oh, I'm not too busy for that snuggle. Like I can take that moment, because gonna be honest, my oldest is 11 now and they're going fast. He still like to give me hugs, but enjoy them while we can. And again, being in that present moment. One thing, making new recipes. That is such a good idea. My son loves to cook too, so I love coming up with recipes with him too. But those are such great ideas. But again, it's being that intentional and picking things. So in Connecting Mamas, we want to create a safe space and igniting mama's passions. And one of the things for me, a big word is grace. But I know some people have an aversion to words, some people love it, but I want to define what I mean by grace for you. When mamas gather with the intention of offering grace, magic happens. Grace allows us to get through the tough times together by lifting each other up. Giving grace for making mistakes as we learn to do better. Again, we take those actions. They might not be the right actions, but we're learning, we're trying, we're moving forward. Giving grace for working to embrace differences and learning from each other. Giving grace for mothering the best we can. We're all in this together. We're doing the best we can. We're just here to support each other. At Connecting Mamas, as we embrace grace to connect and support each other, we are identifying and live for our passions. Again, it's finding those passions inside of us. So raise your hands up and celebrate, because you have just done something for yourself. You picked something, you identified something that you want to do tomorrow just for you. And that's some intentionality that you should be doing every day. What brings you joy, mamas? Keep going after it. What do you enjoy? And get rid of the to-do list at the end of the night. You can have this in the morning if you want, but at the end of the day, we're just focusing on the things that we've done. Okay? So by the end of this 25-minute talk, we've learned some ways to connect. We've taken an action step to find enjoyment tomorrow. And it doesn't have to be big steps. It's a process, one step at a time. You have a to-done list. You do, ladies, and you celebrate it. Because for me, sometimes the hardest part, I did all these things, but it wasn't enough. I didn't get down to number 10. I only got to number 4. But hey, ladies, you got to number 4 and we did it together. So raise your hands up and let's celebrate ourselves. Give yourselves a big hug and a pat on the back, because you did it. We did it together. And that's the beauty of it, is that we don't have to do it alone. We can make these connections, even on Zoom. It doesn't have to be that we have to find this building and this place to go. And it'd be great sometimes to do these things in person, but you can take the hour in between everything and share together and have connection. So as I've worked to find, yes, I did miss the quote. This is from Martha Beck. To live a life that is wrong for you is a form of dying. There are people who have lives that look perfect. They try to be happy. They believe they should be happy. They are trying to like it, but it's off course from their North Star. They aren't satisfied. So again, it's that we're looking for our North Star, what satisfies us, not other people. Stop going down the comparison route. I know I do that a lot. And so as I work to find my North Star, as I've been working on this journey to find what lights me up, I found that community really helps with that. Finding like-minded people who are there to support you, who are there to listen and to help you and give you that accountability. I know I need external accountability. Some people don't. Some people have that internal accountability, but when you need it, it's there. And a mentor, someone who's already started down this path to help guide you. And so I'm giving you free access to my check-in course. Amanda will throw the link into the chat, and give it a try. Each of these videos is 15, each letter is 15 minutes long. So it's a 3 to 5 minute video, and the activity, so it should take you a total of 15 minutes to finish each letter. So go give it a try. And if you decide that you want some of that community to go with doing it by yourself, let's do a check-in call. And that chat, that will be put in the link as well. I will be able to answer your questions and come up with a check-in plan for you and help you start your path, because it's about what lights you up, and everyone is so different. There is not one size fits all. So let's connect. I have the blog and website. My son actually has been helping me with YouTube shorts, which I would never have seen happen ever. So I struggled so much to connect with Liam. He's so similar to me, and we'd always be butting heads. And then he would say something and it would turn into a shouting match all the time. There'd be times where I just call my husband, like, I don't know how to deal with him. I know you deal with me, so you have to deal with him. But the more that I've worked to figure out what I want to do, I would never have thought that being an entrepreneur, that he would dive into seeing how excited I am, that all he wants to do is, Mom, I want to help you make this happen. I want to see you successful. I want to do I love editing, and I want to do this for you. I would never have saw that coming. I would think, oh, well, being an entrepreneur, I'm going to take time away with my kids. It's actually brought us closer together because I'm going towards what I want to do. And he then wants to support me. And then vice versa, he wants to work on his podcast, or he just got a part in the play, so we're running lines. It's just like when you see what lights someone up, you want to help them, you want to support them, and it goes vice versa. Now we're like, the other day it had taken me 2 weeks to finally get him to run lines with me, because he kind of wanted to. He's like, I've been so busy working in your shorts, I haven't had time to like memorize all my lines. Like, we're gonna go work on your lines then until you can't work on another video. And all of a sudden, his playbook was in my hands, and we were actually running lines. And before such a fight, and he was like, okay, Mom, fine, you can help me. And we ran lines together. So when we go towards that North Star, we start making genuine connections, not things that we think we should be doing. We find things that we're both interested in that brings us together naturally when we do that. They see you lit up, they want to be part of that. And so I leave you with this line from Jamie Lee Kern, who was the very first person, the first seminar I ever went to for her launch, Believe It. Being vulnerable is hard, but I've learned that sharing our time, sharing our true, flawed, authentic selves is the only real way connection and love can happen. It's the only way to step into our full power and purpose in our lives. Ladies, let's connect. And if it's Jena you want to connect with, Amanda, or someone else, just find that connection that speaks to your heart. Start asking those questions of what lights you up, and start going in that direction. Find that enjoyment. And so I leave you with that, ladies. Go spark yourself, go spark it up. Thank you, ladies. Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me to connect a little bit. And now I am so privileged to introduce Jena to you, ladies. She just knows what nature is all about and how to make it playful. Jena is a landscape architect, so she knows what she's talking about, and nature play expert who teaches parents, early childhood educators, and others how to create sensory-rich, nature-based play. That just sounds so exciting to me. And a learning space for children so they can grow their bodies, minds, and spirits. Because you know that we need to get them away from those screens and grow those minds, bodies, and spirits together. Of all the things she does, her favorite is being a mom to a set of amazing 7-year-old twins. She had twins. Wow, ladies, she knows what she's talking about. Let's see how she does nature and play together. Take it away, Jena.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you all so much for being here, and congratulations for being here and committing to your kids and connecting with us all so that we can support you in what you do and how you raise your kiddos. As Michelle said, my name is Jena Jauchius. I'm a landscape architect, and for 22 years, I have been designing children's nature-based play, learning, and therapeutic landscapes. So nature play spaces, outdoor classrooms, sensory gardens. I've even done a few indoor nature-based playscapes for kids. And a couple of years ago, it was 2020, I had a shift in what I do and realized at that time that parents need more support in creating nature-filled, sensory-rich play and learning spaces at home, so that they feel supported in raising their unique kids in a way that helps their kids blossom and become those beautiful humans that they are meant to be. And again, my favorite job is being a mom to my twins. And so they're both girls, they're 7 years old, they're amazing. And they have taught me more in these 7 years than any professional experience ever could. So I'm eternally grateful for that. So just jumping into my goodness here, we're all moms, right? And we want the best for our kids. That goes without saying. We want them to be happy, to enjoy their lives. We want them to be healthy. We want them to discover what lights them up, what brings them joy. We want them to develop a love for learning and that curiosity and their imagination. I'd love to hear if you ladies want to pop in the chat. What do you want for your kiddos as they grow up and become adults in this big wide world? I'd love to hear. And for me, I want my kids to grow up in their authenticity. I want them to be true to themselves every day and to make space for themselves every single day. Because I think ultimately for all of us, we just want them to have the brightest future possible. Yep. What lights them up. Yep. Thinking their own thoughts. Absolutely. That is so, so important. And so this is our mom mission, right? This is what we are doing in this time. And it's all possible. Everything that you want for your kids and how they grow and develop, it's all possible. Through my work as a designer for these 22 years, I've realized that there's one big thing that us moms need to understand and to pay attention to in our kids so that we can help them better develop, have a happy childhood, and set them up to lead happy, productive lives into adulthood. And that one thing, the one thing that in order for our kids to be happy, for them to blossom and to be their best selves, is their nervous system also has to be happy. So I'm going to jump into giving you a little primer on our nervous system and how important it is for our children, for all of us, actually. So our nervous system is a really complex system in our body. It helps us do things like breathe, eat, move, think, everything that's essential, right, to our survival. But it goes beyond that. Our nervous system is also our body's receiver of information, like, information's coming at us from the world around us at all times. And our nervous system is what picks up that information. And so it really starts with our senses, right? And most people think we only have 5, like the 5 classic senses: sight, touch, taste, smell, and sound. But we actually have 2 additional sensory systems in our body that are equally as important for our ability to navigate our lives, navigate our external world. And so one is our vestibular system, which is located in our inner ear. It has to do with gravity and our body's relationship to gravity. So like being upside down or right side up or sideways. That's our vestibular system. The other one is our proprioceptive system, or proprioception. Motion sickness. That's right. Yeah. If you've ever had vertigo, Michelle, yes, that is a really unhappy vestibular system. Roller coasters, those things stimulate our vestibular system. So the 7th one is our proprioceptive system, which is really fascinating, but in a very succinct nutshell, it has to do with our body awareness in space. And so if you want to know more about 7 senses, their role in childhood and their importance, how nature play can feed all 7 sensory systems. Michelle, if you can pop in my connection or my link to my Facebook business page, I have a ton of information on nature play and the 7 senses. And so start there as a resource, a ton of information there. But anyway, so back to our nervous system. So information's coming at us from the world around us. Our nervous system is picking all of this up. The information travels through our nervous system as electricity and chemical signals, interestingly enough, to our brain. And our brains are a very significant part of our nervous system. So in our brains, they are processing and interpreting that information. It sends a response back down through the channels to our body to tell us how to move, to tell us how to react, how to make decisions. Basically, our nervous system process and its interaction with our environment informs every waking moment of our daily life, right? And so that's mind-blowing how much we can take it for granted, because it really happens at lightning speed. We take it for granted that we have a properly functioning nervous system, and that, our bodies can and our experiences, our life experiences, are smooth and enjoyable because of our nervous system interacting with our environment. And so really, essentially, our nervous system is our body's way of understanding the world around us. And a happy, healthy nervous system is the difference between thriving in our lives rather than just getting by and surviving in our lives. And so when we talk about childhood, that is such a magical and rich time, because kids are literally soaking up all of the experiences, all of the sensory information that they can, as they move through the world and play and do all the wonderful things that they do. So their nervous systems are on, or their nervous system and their sensory experiences are on overdrive, just trying to gather as much information as they can during this time. And our sensory systems actually start developing while we're in the womb. But once kids pop out in the world, man, they are trying to experience as many new things as they can, to touch, feel, taste, see, move, every sensory experience that they can have. They are going to seek that out because that is what childhood is about. And so when they're doing this, what their bodies are doing is really putting together a database of sensory information. And so, which is important because when they come upon a new experience or have a new sensory experience, their bodies and their brains have that database to recall, well, I'm experiencing something new, but it's kind of like the experience I had, not long ago. And so they can use that as a reference point and move through that experience or with more grace and more ease than if they didn't have that to reference. And so it's really important for kids to get as much sensory experiences, time outside as they can to build that database. And so as moms, like we really need to pay attention to our kids' nervous systems, because in today's world, there are so many things that can cause imbalances in their systems, many things that are in our control, and there are many things that are out of our control. And so some of the things that are in our control that can cause imbalances are things like processed foods. Are they getting too much screen time? Are they not getting enough sleep? Are they not getting enough social connection? That's a challenge these days. Yeah, processed food and screen time, that's a big deal because it's everywhere. Stress that comes in various forms during the school day. The pandemic, I don't want to say the P word, but it's a reality. The pandemic's been really, really hard on all of us, adults and children alike. But as adults, we have the ability to rationalize and make sense of a very nonsensical situation at times. And we have a feeling of safety and control because we're adults, but kids don't have that luxury, right? They rely on us for their safety. They don't have any control in this situation. So their nervous systems are really dysregulated. And so, we're moms, we're so connected to our kids. We have the power to recognize when our kids are out of balance, because those imbalances can cause problems in their daily life, but also ongoing. And so what does that look like when our kids are out of balance? So when our kids' nervous systems are dysregulated, they're in fight, flight, or freeze, which is survival mode, right? And so when they're in this state, their entire bodies, their entire beings are in a state of arrest because they are focused, their systems are focused on one thing, and that is surviving that moment. And it doesn't matter whether it's that moment is they aren't getting their ice cream after dinner or they have a bully on the playground. It's kind of the same situation. Their nervous system is just in this state of imbalance, and it's very challenging to do anything other than get through that moment, right? So when they're dysregulated, their ability to do things in childhood that they need and want to do is greatly lessened because their body is so focused on that one thing. Some of the challenges are, they can't learn to the best of their abilities. They may not be able to focus or learn new tasks or new information. They might be overreactive. They might not be able to express themselves in a healthy way. They might not be able to use their imagination and creativity to the extent that they could. So what we all want is our kids to have a healthy, happy nervous system. And in this state, kids can access that beautiful state of flow that comes so naturally to them. They can be in deep, rich learning and growth, meaningful play. They can be more imaginative and creative, which is children's superpowers. They can more easily connect with others, which is so important. Michelle alluded to that for the importance of us moms, but it's important for kids as well to feel that connection with others. And they can be connected with nature and also themselves. And they can feel grounded and safe when their nervous system is healthy and happy. And it's in this state that children exist in by nature. It's their homeostasis. It's where their bodies are always trying to get back to. And so what can we do as their moms to help kids maintain a healthy, happy nervous system? Or if they're dysregulated, to help them get back into balance? Because this is absolutely something that we need to pay attention to as moms. So we have to help them. Here's how we do it. We have to help them get back into their bodies, using their bodies, moving their bodies, experiencing things in real life, having as many sensory experiences as possible in all 7 sensory systems, to be outside as much as possible, because nature, and it can be your backyard, it can be a walk in the park, it can be a hike out in the mountains. It doesn't matter. Nature can be big N or small n, but nature, it offers the most rich and beneficial sensory experiences that is available to us. And, there's a ton of research out there how restorative nature is for us. And that's why, when we go out and take a walk on the beach or a walk in the park or watch a beautiful sunset, we feel restored, because that is nature helping us regulate our nervous systems. And in that state, we can access our best selves. And so that's what we want for our kiddos. And so I'm going to ask you a question. What if you knew that your backyard or your balcony or whatever space you have at home, inside, it could be inside too. What if you knew a space that you had at home had the power to feed your child's senses and calm their nervous system so that they can grow and blossom into their best selves? I mean, for me, it's like, right? Deep breath. I feel supported. Like I have a space at home that actually supports me in being the best mom I can be. I have a space at home that supports my kids. Yeah, it's a huge relief, right? And we often don't think of our home environments as, something that can be incredibly supportive, and it's especially important now when our home environments are, like in the pandemic. We had to support our kids with what we had at home, because many of us lost access to schools and childcare centers and therapeutic services and things like that. So our home environments are so important in supporting us as moms and supporting our kids. So please do, really consider your backyard space or whatever space you have to work with as a valuable tool in your child's health and well-being. It's a valuable tool in supporting you in your best momming skills. And it's important to create. If you don't have that space at home, it is so important to create a space at home for your kids. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It can be very small and very simple. But it's a space that they can use daily. When they're out of balance, they can go in there and regulate. They can go in there and find balance and feel calm again. When they are feeling good, it's a place that they can go to elevate and to do new things. And essentially, it is a place for happy and healthy nervous system maintenance. And we all need that. And so for the rest of the session, I'm going to share my screen here in a second and show you some inspiration, ideas for nature play that you can bring into your child's play space at home or whatever space you have to work with. These are just a small handful of nature play ideas that I love sharing because, I'm going to tell you, like, nature play, it is an absolutely incredible tool for your child's growth, development, learning, imagination, social skills, self-confidence, self-love, and so many things that we care very deeply about as their moms. So I am just going to share my screen here real quick. and show you some eye candy. Let me move my picture out of the way. Okay. All right, so the power of backyard sensory play. And again, this can be done in a very small space. But essentially, nature play, for those of you who aren't super familiar with it, nature play uses natural materials and features to create a wide variety of play experiences, learning opportunities, and therapeutic value. And the therapeutic value, yeah, it absolutely goes to the discussion on the nervous system that I spent so much time on. But it actually, there's so much more to that. I could give a whole workshop on it. If you have children with neurodiversity, if you have children with or if they're different learners, if they have a variety of special needs, there's so much therapeutic value in this approach to creating play and learning space at home. It's really beautiful. And again, there's more information on my Facebook page and in some of the programs I do for parents. Nature play gives kids the necessary healthy sensory stimulation to grow and develop in their own way. When you have something that's more nature-based, that gives something that feeds all of the 7 senses, it's surprising how you can get hit with just a few spaces or few features. You can give something for all 7 senses. Kids will go out and they will find activities that will feed them in the way that they need to be fed at the moment. It might be different from one day to the next, but they'll find what they need to grow and develop and to be happy and healthy. And so your backyard is going to look, this is one of the beautiful things about nature play. Your backyard is going to look different from the next person's backyard or balcony or whatever it is you have to work with, because nature play, you can tailor it to your children's individual needs, their interests, their loves, their sensitivities. You also tailor it, of course, to the space that you're working with, right? And so every nature play space is going to look different. And many of the photos you're going to see in the slideshow is the sensory garden I built for my kids in our backyard. So it is tailored for us. It's going to look very different from what you can do. But what I would like you to do in these next few slides is to take a look at these play features through the lens of the senses. And so just let your mind go with, what's the sensory value of a fairy garden? I mean, if you have a kiddo that loves to live in their imagination, then a fairy garden might be something that you want to include in your play space, because fairy gardens actually are multi-sensory play features that hit at least 6 of the 7 sensory systems. And so one of my kids, she loves to live in her imagination, and so we have a fairy garden space that's dedicated to her and how she loves to play. My other daughter, she's a mover and a shaker. And so I have some log climbers. And these actually are, again, a multi-sensory tool, multi-sensory play feature, where the kids play and climb and hop and jump and skip and move across these in all sorts of different ways. But they are also a place where we have picnics, where we sit and read books. So multi-sensory, multi-use. What about the sensory value of sensory plants? This image right here, this is our garden. And in this one image, there are sensory plants for the 5 classic senses. Just in this one image. You can do sensory plants for the 5 classic senses in a raised garden bed. But sensory plants give that connection with nature, unlike anything else. So I always encourage to green up your playscape, which brings me to edible garden spaces. The more kids are involved with growing their own food, the more likely they are to eat healthy food, what they grow. And so I really encourage you, if you do have an edible garden space at home, what if you had one dedicated to your kiddos and they were able to grow what they want to grow? They are the caretakers of those plants, and they can pick and eat and do all the wonderful things that happens when you do raise your own food. The sensory value of sand play. So sand play, like as far as sensory play goes, it is one of the best things you can do. There's definitely ways I would recommend to do it successfully in your backyard, so that, you know, things like maintenance and that sort of thing is more easy. But sand play, especially when you combine it with water. And here these kids have found mud. They've created mud. They're making mud pies, but guaranteed in this very simple activity, which requires a very simple space and very simple tools. I guarantee you these kids' nervous systems are singing, right? They are fully engrossed in their play activity. They are in a state of flow, fully concentrated on their sensory experience and what they are doing. And I guarantee you a screen will not compete with something like this. And loose parts. Loose parts is the last thing I'll mention here. And there's a whole theory behind it. It's a whole education theory behind it. The theory goes, the more loose parts there are in a play area, the more play opportunities exist. And I always add to that, the more sensory experiences exist. And so outside loose parts might be, like you see here, bark and branches and rocks and flowers and grass and anything that kids can move and manipulate to build things up, break things down, recreate in another way. And so they're using their imagination, they're using engineering and critical thinking and things like this. Loose parts is something that you can put together a natural loose parts kit for free. And again, tons of information on my Facebook page. And if you want more information on nature play, on creating a space for your child's 7 senses that is tailored to your kiddos, tailored to your space. I love supporting moms in this way. So I invite you, of course, to connect with me on Facebook, but also, Michelle, if you could pop in the chat, I'm offering a free 20-minute nature play quick consult where we can talk about your kids, talk about the space, and brainstorm some ideas that you can do very quickly to get your kids a space that is going to give them a happy, healthy nervous system and help them grow and blossom in the way that they're meant to. So I'm going to stop my share. And again, thank you so much for sharing your time with us, and we look forward to connecting further. All right, ladies, it is my honor to introduce someone who has helped me as a mom. This gal is amazing, Amanda Irtz. Amanda is the creative innovator of EmoSet. She is a 2-time best-selling author on Amazon, transformational parent coach, and believer that our world will be a better place because of our kids and teens. And I couldn't agree more. She is a joy-filled mother of 2 children who practice healthy, emotional living each day. She created EmoSet because she understands the unique needs of kids from her 22 plus years in education and her boots on the ground training as a mom. Amanda understands that when kids are self-aware, then they are better equipped to understand other humans. Amanda spends her free time in the wilderness of the Colorado Rockies and at her neighborhood Pilates studio. And she and her kids enjoy paddleboarding, family movie nights, and walking the dogs. All right, Amanda, all you.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much. And I want to connect with all the moms out there because I know that having kids is also about wearing all of these different hats. And the hats are about, did my kid eat enough? Did my kid get enough sleep? What's going on at school? What are all the mental health pieces, right? And when I talk about mental health, I'm not talking about, your kid and, the extreme end. I'm talking about all the little pieces in between that support them and that also in reality end up supporting you as a mom, right? So I want you to think about that anyone who's human needs a mental health support. They need to have mental health literacy. They need to have emotional skills and tools, that this is just part of how, our world operates. Okay, and I always give this disclaimer before I start any live event that I am a real mom. And because I'm a real mom, there may be interruptions and I just kind of go with it. So if that happens, I hope you just kind of go with it too. Okay, so I am going to screen share. So we can get going here. But I have 4 very simple secrets that I want to share with you right now. And I want to start by kind of framing things. These are my 2 kids. This is Wyatt and Liam. Okay, my son is 12 and my daughter's 9. And there's a quote that says, "When you look at me and cry, everything hurts. I hold you and whisper, but everything heals." So this right here is a powerful tool about the power of a parent, that when we show up and when we hear and when we validate what our kids are going through, that's when they heal. Okay, so your presence as a mom is one of the most powerful tools in a child's life. Okay, a little bit about me. I am a mom. I am a proud single mom. I've done this journey on my own. I have 2 kiddos. These are very old pictures, but they just they speak to me because you know, my kids have taught me so much in life, and they've taught me about the importance of mental health and about the importance of the pieces that make us whole. And my son's walking in the room. I'm doing a live presentation. Do you need something?
Where's the soy sauce?
In the fridge. Where's the soy sauce? It's in the fridge. Okay, so I did spend 22 years as an educator, both as an administrator and as a school teacher. And so I have, I've connected with over 5,000 families and coached over 5,000 families in how to support their kids at home and in school. And so I know that the tools that I share with you work, and I know that the tools that you put into place will be effective. So right now, I want everyone to just place your hands over your heart, and I want you to breathe in and breathe out. And listen to these words. I'm doing the best I can. I am worthy. I am loved. I am a loving mom. Take one more deep breath in. And another one out. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about 4 pieces right now. The first one is how to use emotional language, feeling words, on a regular, consistent basis. The other one is about how we validate feelings. And then the third one is about coaching our kids in how to regulate their emotions. Okay, and number 4 is using language that creates connection. So the first step here is to model phrases of how you're feeling. Okay, so when you, mom, are actually feeling something, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling angry, you're feeling out of sorts, it's okay to say, I am feeling blank, blank, blank because. Okay, so I'm feeling frustrated right now because I just spilt, you know, that bowl of spaghetti all over the floor and I just cooked it. Okay, I am feeling happy today because the sun is shining and I was able to go on a walk with my dog. So it's important to, my dog just looked at me. She's like, "You're going on a walk? What? It's important to recognize that sharing all your feelings, the good ones and the not so good ones. The not so good ones are the ones that we perceive to be not so good, but I want you to remember that all the feelings are part of being human. So everything that you feel is a part of your human journey, and you are allowed to feel those. And when we share, when our kids begin to hear how mom is feeling, then they are also empowered and invited to share how they feel. And they understand that feelings are okay. So this is step number 1. Now, to go along with step number 1 is to also teach your child some strategies about how to support themselves when those big emotions do come up. I never want you to think about how to support your child with strategies when the big emotion is occurring, okay? When big emotions are occurring, like they're overly sad or they're overly happy or they're crying, they're angry, right? Sometimes they're in an elevated state, okay? And they can't learn a new strategy in that elevated state. So I like to always work with my kids when they're calm, okay? When they're calm, they're relaxed, they just got done playing outside and they have some good endorphins going. I do a couple of things for them. We practice ways to be calm. We practice deep breathing, okay? We practice counting up and down from 1 to 10 and back, okay? So we practice some things. And we also, when we're calm and we're happy, I ask my kids to identify why they're calm, why they're happy, okay? And because when they can start to recognize, oh, I'm calm because I just got done playing outside and now it's time to go read my book, like they can recognize that. And so hopefully when they start to identify why, they can start to also identify how to get themselves back to that place when they're in a heightened emotion. All right, so right now what I want you to do just in the chat, I want you to think about one thing right now that you can do when your child is calm. What question might you ask them about why they're feeling a certain way, or how can you start that conversation with it? Because for every mom, it's different, right? The way I say things is not necessarily the way you need to say things, okay? But how is it going to come out of your mouth? And the reason I want you to do this is because when you practice right now in this second, what you're doing is you are setting yourself up to actually say the words again with your kids the next time they're calm. Okay, so right now, even if the words are just simple, I notice you're calm. What's making you calm? I just want you to restate that phrase right now in the chat so that you have an understanding and a feeling of what that is like and that it becomes more natural to you. And my dog just perked up, so we'll see how this goes. I told you I'm a real mom. There will be more interruptions. You just wait. I'm pretty sure that my son found the soy sauce though. He's homesick today, so that's why the soy sauce was an issue. All right. Yeah. So some of the things that are popping up already is you've got a big smile on your face. What's making you happy? That's brilliant. Good. I notice you're upset. What's making you so upset? Okay. I would go back to Jena and I would say, I notice that your tone of voice is a little off. I wouldn't identify, I would notice the trait that is associated with the behavior, not the emotion, right? So I notice that you are feeling, I notice that you are smiling, or I notice that you are kind of sluggish right now, so that they can help to identify. Okay, good. All right, so let's go back to this. Here we go. So the next step is about validating feelings. All right, and validating feelings is the moment our child feels heard, the moment any human being feels heard, let's be honest, is the moment that they start to heal. Okay, so after we have allowed our child to talk and to express and to say everything that's on their mind, and we have listened, okay, and these are things that I talk about with some of my one-on-one clients that I really get into, how do we listen? How do we talk? So when you work with me, there's a lot of back end to this, but these are just kind of the big points that I want you to capture. So after they have shared with you everything, you're going to restate exactly what they said. Okay, so you're going to say something like, I heard you say that you're upset. Okay, those might be the words that they used. Or I understand that you're sad right now. All right, so if your child doesn't use the word sad or upset, and that's what you think has happened, don't use those words. Okay. Like my son never uses emotional language. He uses descriptive words. So he'll say, I feel like a tornado right now, or I feel like a thunderbolt. Like he finds ways to describe how he's feeling. And so I would say, I hear that you're feeling like a thunderbolt. All right. So this step is about validating exactly what you hear. And the key phrase here is, I hear you, or I understand you, and then repeat. All right. So avoid, some of the pitfalls, and let's be honest here, we're all moms. There is no perfect day in parenting. And as soon as we think we've done something right, we're like, oh, I got to learn about that area now too, right? So even if you've done this or you do this, it is okay. And guess what? I've done it too, and I'm a parenting expert. So I want you to think about avoiding these phrases. You shouldn't be upset about this, or this really isn't a big deal. Right? And the reason I say this is because adult problems are much different than kid problems. They don't have the same context and life experience and journey that we have. So our kids are never going to understand the bills, the mortgage, the colleague who's, not very nice, the parent-teacher conference that didn't go so well. Okay, they don't have that context. However, we parents have to remember what it was like to be a child, and how some of those things, that is all that matters to them in the world. All that matters to them in the world is that their friend snapped their jelly bracelet in half at recess. That was hurtful. Okay. So just to kind of think about that. And again, if you've said these things, don't beat yourself up about it. We've all been there. We've all done it. This is about growing and trying to become the best version of our parenting self possible. All right. This is my daughter from a few years ago. And as you can see, she's got a little sass and a little pizzazz to her. But I like this photo because our children, they heal when they feel heard. And in this photo right here, this is my daughter at her very truest self, because she is whole, because she has been heard. She feels as though she can tell me whatever she wants, right? So to remember that healing comes when our children are heard. Healing comes when our spouses are heard, when our friends are heard, right? Okay. All right. Part of being a parent is about being an emotions coach. All right. So right now, just drop it in the chat, emotions coach. I want to see those words, emotions coach, put it in there, put it in there. You are also an emotions coach. And you want to know why? Because you're a parent, and parents wear more than one hat. Okay. Parenting is different than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's different. And it's different not because it's better. It's different because we know more today than we did years ago. All right. And so because we know more today and we have more tools, let's use them, right? So becoming an emotions coach is going to help you and your child to avoid some of those really expensive therapy bills. Because a lot of therapy, and I want to kind of set a precursor here, if your child is in therapy, it is okay. My kids are both in therapy, right? But it will lessen the expense, because a lot of the work that kids do with therapists is setting up ways and strategies at home to regulate their emotions, to talk about what's happening, to practice breathing. Okay, so if you can start to do some of this at home, then they are going to feel more supported. Even though they may need more support moving forward, they will have that core support from you. Okay. So some of the ways that you can support big feelings are to make a calm down corner at home. And this is a corner, we have 3 of them. My daughter has one in her room. It's a closet with a dog bed and fairy lights. Her second one is down here in my office, and it is a space that's like a little couch over there with colors and markers and all the paper you could imagine. And we have a little trampoline, and she likes to bounce up and down on it. Okay. And then my son's calm down corner is in his room also, and it's a huge beanbag with some books and pillows. All right. And so making this space obvious and clear that this is where you go when you need to calm down for whatever it is. Maybe you're overexcited, or maybe you're really sad, or right, this is your place to come down and practice some strategies like breathing. Okay, so the power of the breath, and this goes back to what Jena was saying earlier about the nervous system, is that when we connect our breath to our body, we are calming the nervous system. Okay, and the power of the breath is incredibly, incredibly huge. So when you think about teaching your kids how to breathe, think about breathing in the scent of a flower, right? And then exhaling, blowing out a candle. So breathe in the flower, out the candle. Okay. Another great strategy is counting up to 10 and then back down. Okay. Because what this does is this tells the brain that, oh, I'm not angry anymore right now because I'm counting. I'm not angry anymore because I'm counting backward. Okay. So it shifts the attention to something different. There's also something about boosting, a recipe to boost happy time. So what is that? And for every kid, it's going to be different. For my son, it's going outside and playing. For my daughter, it's baking cookies. Okay. And it's doing arts and crafts. So what are the things that boost? And to keep a list of those somewhere so that when your child is having a day, you can pull it out and say, hey, how about we do this right now? Okay. Make it okay to take a break. So I like to use the phrase that never let the tradition, that the tradition is never important than the emotion. Something that was really important in my family growing up was sit down dinners, right? And it is still important, and we don't have them every night, I'll be honest, because my kids are busy, and honestly, sit down dinners are really about playing games for us and maybe, having sandwiches together. But if sitting down at the dinner table, and this is just my example, is too stressful for your kid, sitting down at the upcoming Thanksgiving dinner for an hour with the family is too stressful, set the clock for 15 minutes. Say, hey, for 15 minutes, I want you to eat and have fun and use your please and your thank you. And then after that, you can be excused and then come back and visit us when you're ready. Okay. Also partner with your child, give them ideas that they can use, and also listen to them. What are some of their ideas? So right now I want you to pop some ideas in the chat about what some calm down strategies are that you already use, number one, and then number two, calm down strategies you want to try. So number one, what you already use. Number two, what you want to try. All right. And I'll give you a little bit of time to put that in. And I'm already seeing that going to look for bugs. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Going to look for bugs. I love that because it's getting us out of that headspace and it's getting us back into nature. And that's exactly, that's the shift that our kids often need. That's that shift. So that's beautiful. I'm also seeing creating a separate place to calm down, but want to make it more special and identify it to make it special for them. Tracy had a question about repeating the tradition. So never sacrifice the child's emotional health for the tradition, right? So the example that I used is about, family dinners, but there might be other things like traditions or values. Maybe the value in your home is connectedness and family time. But if your child's having a mental health day and they can't sit down for that family movie that night and enjoy the popcorn with everyone, then give them a break, right? Just so never sacrifice that mental health for, we got this plan in place and we are gonna do it, right? Be flexible, bend, have some grace, and find your kiddo where they are. So meet them somewhere in the middle if you can. And there are some days you can't bend and be flexible, but when you can, there's some great power there, okay, to honor that, because our kids do have to show up and really be present when they're at school and when they're with their friends and when they're on their teams, right? So at home, that's the place where we have to bend, where we have to have grace. All right. And I also see lots of hugging. It's a beautiful way to decompress and to find that calm again. Excellent. All right. I have one more piece that I really would like to share with you. And this is about, oh, never mind. I don't have one more piece. I took the slide out. Can you believe that? Can you believe I took it out? It's about how we talk with our kids. And this is something that I also work on with my one-on-one clients, and how they feel transformed after working with me. So my clients have shared with me that they do feel confident, they do feel empowered, and they do feel enlightened because of the tools that I give them and because of the very strategic language that I give them to use, okay? So for today, I wanna offer you my back pocket parenting tools. This is in my link tree. So when the link tree gets posted, you can pull it up and there'll be a bunch of different offers, but this one is in particular for you. These are my tools for, staying calm during the chaos, for finding alignment with your family values, for releasing the old parenting patterns and tapping into your new ones. That just because you were raised in a certain way doesn't mean it's good or bad, but it might not be working for you and your kids. So how can you shift it? Okay, feeling confident in your every move and decision as a parent, learning how to respond rather than react to every scenario. And we do this through a series of modules with some videos, and I have a guidebook, and there is always an option to upgrade with me to do the work through the Voxer app. And I found that has been a really gorgeous way to connect with parents, because parents are on the go, moms are on the go, right? Moms don't have a lot of time to sit down for the Zoom calls. They put it on replay, right? But when you need that in the moment coaching, you need that in the moment support, the Voxer app is a way for you to say, hey, Amanda, I got a question. And then I can Voxer you back with my thoughts. Okay. Of course, there are always, boundaries to when I reply. I don't work on the weekends, some of those pieces. So again, that is in my link tree. And this is a gorgeous offer. If you feel like you want to go just a little bit deeper with me today, this is what I have for you. So if you do have any question and answer, I am always here for that. Again, you can connect with me through my link tree. You'll see that there's my email in there. And I'm a very interactive parent, coach, and expert. So I want to hear what's going on. I want to understand the ups and downs and the ins and outs. All right. I am so thrilled that you joined us today. And if you're catching us on the replay, how cool that you get a pause and come back and pause and come back. Because I know that's how I do replays, right? Like it might take me 3 nights to get through something because I'm a mom. So I get it. And I really commend you for showing up in the way that you're showing up. All right. I want you to step out into the world, be your confident parenting self, and remember that you are doing the very best that you can. I'll see you later.
Stop. Well, we're back. We're just going to do a little bit of a Q&A with Workshops for Moms today. So those of you watching on the replay, we're going to go through some of the questions that came up in the chat and just answer those out for you right now.
Okay, well, I have a question. So, Michelle, what would you say to moms who just do not have time to feel like they don't have time to participate in a mom group?
And that is actually one of the things come up. We're so busy. We just don't have time. We put so much time into the kids. And the honest answer is we have to make it. And it's not that we're making it, it's that we pick our priorities. I kept thinking, oh, I can't do these meetings at night because I got to do family time. Like, I was like, you just need to speak up. And I was like, okay, I'm dedicating this 1 hour to it. And it's just planning ahead of time. It's making that effort and saying that I'm worth it. I think is really what it really comes down to, is saying that I am worth this 1 hour. And for me, for my for Connecting Mamas, I purposely am doing it online right now because it is starting that. It is a hard thing to say I am worth this. And so for my program, I'm asking for 1 hour a week that you dedicate to coming into that Zoom room to get there. And you might break out how you do 15 minutes a day. We'll get there. But that's what you're dedicating to, is 1 hour a week. Can you honestly say that you're not worth that? And that's what it really comes down to, is just that worth, and that we are worth that hour.
Absolutely. All
Well,
right.
Jenna, I want to ask you, or you have one for me? Sorry, go ahead.
Go for it.
As you were going through the nature play and stuff, all I could vision was, I have 3 kids, and we have like semi-forest like next to us. So, like, we have trees and stuff, and they like make like their little like how much, and we have a play set structure, things like that. How much like intention should we put into the nature play, or how much should we just say it's making the time to do the nature play?
Yeah, well, I'm biased, first of all. So first question is, how much time do your kids want to spend outside? So is it engaging them as it is now? And if it's not, if they still like want to come in and do screen time when they get home from school, then there are things that you can do outside to make that more appealing, attractive, drawing them out. And if you've got a play structure, awesome. You can add nature features, nature play features in that space. If you have, like you say, you've got a forest nearby, there's so many cool, loose parts in a forest. How many different forts can they build? So, you don't necessarily have to go out and buy new things. You have an amazing space to do some really incredible things already. And so work with your kids, use their creativity. What can we do out here? And just spend time outside. And for the person, I'll just add quickly, for the person who doesn't have all of that, and maybe they live in a condo or an apartment, and maybe they have a balcony, or maybe they don't even have that, you can still build forts inside. You can still have a loose parts kit inside, and they can still do things. Loose parts are like, think of Legos. They're kind of like that. So there's still a lot of things that you can do in really small spaces and in indoor spaces. And so connect with me. I'd love to give more ideas. All right, I'm gonna jump into, I have a question for Amanda, because we alluded to something in your introduction that I think that everyone needs to know about, and that's your emo set product. And I know because I have one, I already know about this, but I'd love for you to share.
Yeah, my emo sets, I use these a lot with my one-on-one clients, and I just have them on this old candlestick. But it's basically, these are bracelets that have emotions on them. And the emotions are things like excited, happy, angry, frustrated, calm. And I use this as a tool. I teach my parents how to use these so that emotional language becomes more commonplace in the home and a little less scary for everyone. The point of it is, not to keep track of all the emo sets, because they do get lost because we're kids and we're human. But the initial steps and how the tool is used is that it makes building that language a little bit easier, and it makes having those conversations a little less scary. So this is something that I offer when I work one-on-one with people.
So many gems today, ladies. I hope you enjoyed. If you're watching the replay or you were live with us, I thank you for joining us today. And next week we'll be back on the PM side. So it will be 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time next week. And so I hope you can join us for that as well. And just keep showing up. And I know it always comes down to the time issue, but moms, you are worth it. Just remember that. You are worth the time to dedicate to yourselves. And on that, we all say good night to you. Good afternoon to all of you.